Have you ever had something mulling around in your brain and you're chewing on it for a couple of days, couple of hours, maybe even a week, and you're trying to work out which way do you actually interpret it? I've got one that I want to share with you, and you can tell me what your viewpoints are. I was reading something the other day, and this is in the book of Proverbs, one of the sayings from Solomon. Do not make friends with a hot tempered man. Do not associate with one easily angered, or you may learn his way and get yourself ensnared. Right. So quickly on that principle, I noticed that if I'm with people who swear a lot, well, my language deteriorates and I'll let a word slip out. It's not good. I admit it. It's one of the things. And I think that is the philosophy that goes. If you hang around people, you become like those people. It's like one of the things that is very popular and a good piece of advice is hang around people who you want to be like. So in my particular aspect, I look at working with managers who are higher up in the hierarchy than I am. I work with people who have more wealth than what I have. I work with people who have more education and business nous than I do, because I'm hoping that some of that stuff will rub off onto me, and over time, I will raise to their level. So it works in two ways. And I'm someone who quite often will challenge folklore. I am not someone who listens to a saying or the trendy slogan for the week or the month and go with it. And one of the slogans that I've been thinking about, and for the purpose of this video, is the idea that you need to be selective with your customers. Okay. I get that. I understand that. We all want to work with customers who we like. We all want to work with customers who appreciate us. We all want to work with customers who will pay what we ask for. These are ideal clients. The concern that I have is when I listen to people who say, "Oh, don't work with people you don't want to work with. Don't take them on board." That's usually presented by people who have a choice, who have millions of dollars in their bank, have 6 months worth of work, have a whole team that's got everything organized for them, and they don't have to scrap and scrimp. They're probably at the stage where they don't even need to go out hunting for business. They got a lot of it coming in. And look, good on them. I love it. Most of those people have worked 10, 20, 30 years to get to that stage. But I remember, and several times with businesses that I've started, when you're at that first stage and you got to put food in the fridge and you've got to pay your mortgage and you got kids who are needing stuff for school and you come across a customer who's probably not one that you would normally want to work with, what do? Do you take the folklore advice and say, no, don't bother, keep looking for another client? If you've got the capacity, then that's good. The real reality is that it probably doesn't work. And I'll give you a couple of examples. I got my first big client several years ago in this business, and I thought, wow, how cool is this? And from day one, and I didn't pick it up, I was still pretty green in those days. Day one, it was all about negotiating down my charges, negotiating down my commission, reducing the amount of marketing. And I've had other clients like that. It's always seems to be the same pattern, and these are the clients that we're advised not to accept. So, how do I balance that off, and why is that a dilemma for me? All right, so the wisdom is probably not to go with that, and that's sound wisdom. It's like in a certain situation. I also have probably mentioned on this channel before that I have a daily prayer, and that is, God, put me in front of the people that you want me to help. And secondly, help me to help those people. Because quite often I get put in front of people and they've got a problem that I've never come across before, and I'm scratching my head. How am I going to help them with this? Maybe a new industry, it may be a particular problem that they have, maybe a time frame that they've got. So I often need that challenge. So on one hand, I'm got the folklore and almost the Bible teaching of don't work with people you don't want to work with and who aren't worth it, for want of a better word. Let's call spades a spade. And on the other side, it's okay. Well, God, I'm asking you to put me in front of the people you want me to help, and sometimes it's the same. So at this particular point in time, I've actually gone with the people who I probably wouldn't prefer. Does it work out? I don't know. Look, in that big client, learnt heaps. I've toughened up a lot. I've probably become a lot more cynical, unfortunately, but I've become a lot more savvy, and I'm able to pick future problems with a lot of my other clients. That's been a huge learning curve. It may actually be that I do get a commission from this big client. It's funny. I have wanted to cut that client several times, and several times over history, I've almost gotten, and then God's intervened and something's happened. Like a buyer has suddenly walked up with express interest for that property. Oh well, like come on, I'm not going to cut the client, just before I finally get him a sale to work with. When I look back over the 3 or 4 years I've worked with them, would be a better thing. I don't know. But I am at the stage now where my business has grown, my skill set has increased, and there's probably 2 weeks ago, I had another client come up, Peter, we want to do work with you. I said, oh, that's interesting. Didn't we do this once before and it didn't work out? So yeah, but we're ready to do that now. I said, okay. So if I remember right, you didn't want to pay advertising and you wanted me to reduce my commissions. Yeah. Well, we can talk about that. We can talk, can we? Okay. Well, that's what's one option. The big reason I didn't like these people is they weren't real ethical. Um, Now, ethics is a judgmental thing, but you know when someone's not right and not wrong. And one of the big challenges I had was getting accurate financials. And the first thing a buyer asks for is accurate financials. And these sellers just wouldn't give it to me. Oh no, we won't. We just want them to basically drive up in a truck, have a suitcase worth of cash in the back, drop off the suitcase, we'll give them the keys and we'll walk out. So when they came back to me to say, "Look, we'd like to have another go," it was probably one of the few times I've said, "Look, it probably isn't gonna work." I know. I'll test the water. Yeah, I'll do what we call Gideon's fleece, and I'll go through that story one day. And I said, "Yeah, I need some accurate financials. I need this report, I need that report, I need that report." "Oh, yeah, I'll think about, getting it. I'll talk to the accountant." "I'm sorry, I know that they have the reports." They let that slip before that they had those reports. So I'm thinking nothing's changed. So from a point of view, if I think it was Einstein who got accused of saying if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. I sat back and I thought, going to have the same problems. They've not changed. Yes, they're more desperate to sell. And it was interesting they came back to me a second time because that would indicate that others probably aren't going to touch them with a barge pole. One of the things that I really like is I am getting a good name in the industry. So my competitors are at the stage where if they know I've said no to a customer or haven't been able to sell their business or their property, they just say no straight away. They don't even bother looking at it. They say, well, if Peter can't sell it and Peter won't sell it, then I'm not going to waste my time. So they go with that philosophy of people who got more work than what I had at that particular point in time. So it's still a challenge for me to work out, what we do. Um, you know, Handle the customers that you want to work with. I think perhaps the principle I like best is one that I learned from my very first mentor manager. And he says, we got to the end of the year. He says, right, 10% of your 10% of your staff. I said, what? You're kidding me? 10% of my staff. Why? What's going on? Budget's doing good. He says, no. What you need to do is like pruning your garden. Every year you need to get rid of 10% of your customers and 10% of your staff. That way you've got room to grow from the following year. And I have to admit, I've used that a couple of times. And it's probably about the right time of year now for me to have a look through my portfolio and take off 10% of my customers. It hurts. They usually aren't happy, but 9 times out of 10, they're probably not the ones that I want. And it's going to be a long time using a lot of effort, time, and money to get things to happen. So perhaps that's the way I go. I'll take 10% off of customers who probably shouldn't be in there, maybe from wrong decisions. I'll see what God says. If it comes back that I'm definitely not going to cut that customer, then they'll stay with me. So yeah, it's an interesting dilemma, isn't it? What should we do? Have a look at the application. At the end of the day, I always try to work on, okay, what does God teach me? And I'll probably finish with this little bit here for you. Do you see a man skilled in his work? He will serve before kings. He will not serve before obscure men. So what does that mean? So my goal then is to keep getting better at what I'm doing. I think I'm pretty good compared to a lot of others right now. I'm not the best, but I'm getting up there. So I keep working at developing my skills in all sorts of aspects in sales and service and industry knowledge and education and qualifications, all that. And at the end of the day, It could lead me to a situation where I have better customers, maybe even kings. I'm not going to be working for obscure men. But until that time, I just keep working and learning from everyone I deal with. It's great having a job like I do. You get to meet so many people and learn so many things, build some great friendships, and even those you don't like, you'll learn a lot from. So leave me some comments, or is there something else that you're mulling about? And I'll be happy to give you my two bob worth. All right, till next time, take care and God bless. This is Peter Bender from Bundaberg Commercial.